Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Eric, I'm a musician and at-home hobbyist. And if you're like me, you are very curious in building a lot of different things on your own without purchasing through any vendor these days. And today we're going to talk about this fantastic machine. This is a CNC Genmitsu 4040 Pro. Let's get into it. Let's cut to the chase and let's do a video that I wish I would have actually found when I was looking for this. So let's cut to what you need to know. Okay, number one, you're going to want to find a company that is actually giving back to their customers. They answer questions quickly. They're problem solvers. They answer their social media, email, phone calls. They're people who have bought their beginning models, invested in the company again, and bought a medium or pro version. You're going to want someone who is a company that gives back and is updating their site and is giving you a lot of material. Hopefully, you find a company that is having a decent product that is at a decent rate that you're not spending an arm and a leg on. I would say there is a fair amount of CNCs on Facebook Marketplace and everywhere else on whatever sell page. I will caution you on when you buy it from other people. You are getting a used equipment. Some of it might be torn up. Some of it might be out of square. You are getting it as is, and sometimes that might be a harder deal learning with somebody else's tweaks and mods than getting something out of the box. Okay, number two, look for flash deals. I was able to get mine on a flash deal right around August, and I saved about $350 on mine. This machine itself, at the time when I purchased it, was going for about $680. I wound up getting a really good deal with a couple coupons on top of it. So my entry fee into this, once I included bits and different ventures, actually was pretty close to the dollar value of me purchasing the machine just by itself. The other thing that is the biggest learning curve for me, I am using a MacBook Pro M1. So softwares that actually run are an Apple compatible that will allow you to design and do G-code and connect with this machine. Cut a far and few between. There's a lot of freeware out there, but it's not user-friendly. For me and this machine, learning how to create and export G-code for your projects is the number one key. I wound up looking at about 15 different softwares, including the two that this CNC came with. For me, the Universal G-code was the one that worked flawlessly from the very, very beginning. You just had to learn how to operate the software, which took about 15 minutes for me. The other half of this equation is finding an actual CNC machine software. I wound up settling on Carbide Create Pro. Their software is actually fantastic. The creators who made that software have a YouTube channel. They create how-tos all the time, and they walk through very simple form so anybody can actually understand this stuff. The best thing about that Carbide Create software is that the Pro version gives you an option to export this into G-code, which saved me a million hours once I actually got to a point where I knew what I was doing, kinda. I would say I spent about 40 to 50 hours minimum just from the get-go to actually kind of get an idea of what I was doing. I still broke about 5 or 6 bits in the process. So that comes up to another point. Do not buy the most expensive bits out of the gate. You will snap them by accident. You will chip them. And you don't want to do that with the $50, $60, $80 bit. You want to do them with a cheap Amazon set, a Genmitsu set, something that won't actually break the bank and you have spares for. So those are probably the bigger two, okay? The next tip is you're going to want to utilize the spindle that came with the machine. Mine was the 300 watt. It was very, very quiet. I was actually surprised at how quiet it is. But I will tell you now, every feedbook post you see will say this: the spindle is the quietest thing you've ever heard. But you cannot do quick jobs with it. And I'm here to tell you, 100% fact. If you use hardwood, if you want bigger projects, more detailed projects, that spindle and 1/8 inch bits can only go so fast, which means that your jobs are going to take long. Just recently did I upgrade to the 710 watt motor, and that thing is an absolute beast. It is an actual, in fact, router trimmer, but it lets me use 1/4 inch bits now. It lets me use um, speeds that is over 10,000 RPMs, so I can actually speed up my production now. So, again, learn on the small watt. Once you feel like you have an idea and you're going to stick with it, then upgrade and buy the bigger router. So don't buy everything all up at once. Okay, next. There are very big difference between the cable, right? And you'll see that because it has 3 triangles and the cable goes through 3 of them and it runs on that track. And the difference between a screw spindle, X and Y. I say that because you're going to want that accuracy. And this machine in particular, and I've read it so many times, is very accurate because of the screws. And when it runs back and forth, it is flawless. There are setup issues that you can occur if you don't follow this book. Now, I will tell you, from opening up the box, their actual assembly guide is flawless. It is actually amazing. It is not even close to an IKEA. Everything is labeled. It tells you exactly how to do things and even gives you warnings. So if you follow that guide to the T and you have a caliper and you're using it and you're making sure everything's up to speed, it will not take you but 45 minutes to put this together. And so with that, I mean, just from beginning to end, I've been impressed with Genmitsu on taking a gamble with a lot of people's Amazon posts and Facebook posts. The other thing you're going to run into is that once you start getting into this thing, there's a lot of dirt. There's a lot of dust, sorry, not dirt. You're going to want to get a vacuum system. So once you get into these things, you're looking at cutting a lot of dirt, a lot of shavings. You're going to want to move it out of your house or an enclosure, or put it in an enclosure that has a vacuum suction system. I've gotten to the point now where I switched to the 710, and it's a lot of speed. And if the bit breaks, it's a bit of a safety hazard at this point to the surrounding area if that bit breaks. So I went ahead and built this cabinet. It's still about halfway built. I got to put a top closure and front closure so I can easily access this machine to fully enclose it. The other bit is trying to figure out how I want to do the vacuum system and the cable system still. So as you go through things, you will find out you don't want to modify. The other modification that you can do with this machine, which I love about CNC Genmitsu, is that you can grow with the machine. So in this case, I can expand the X and the Y. I can also expand the board. So at this point, you might check the actual site, and they should have updated it by now. But it'll tell you that you need a different board for Wi-Fi. The Genmitsu, the actual motherboard that comes with this manufactured Pro model, you don't need to do anything different if you get the Wi-Fi module. The reason why it's on there previously was because you needed a ribbon cable. You don't need that anymore. So as soon as I bought the trimmer, I wound up buying the Wi-Fi kit, and it's fantastic. Let me show you. This fantastic little box is the Wi-Fi. I went ahead and did a 3D case for it so I can fixed it to the actual bracket and kind of minimize how much dust is going to get in here, which is also a double safety because it's behind this case and it's also in another case. The power from the machine is actually split, and it powers this. The USB is running into the box, and then that is wirelessly transferring over and is running off of my iPad. Now this is exactly the same as Universal G-Code, except visually you cannot see the project that's being printed and where the spindle is at. It will tell you how much longer the job is and how fast it's been running. But in this case, I can jog my machine, I can set my probe, I can run the spindle, I can do all the edits and how fast and how many millimeters I want to adjust it. I can go to files, so if I need to adjust something on one file and come back and create something, this can be running. I'll go in the house, adjust it, upload my file to the cloud, come over here, open it, and now I'm opened up on the cloud and I can just extract the file real quick. So that's really, really cool. Likewise, I can go to console and I can adjust console and do edits and type different codes in here. This module also comes with an SD card, so I can upload cards in this and just import it from the cards. So let's go over to the 4040 Pro. Like I said, this is 5/8 thick, MDF, nothing super crazy, but $8 for a sheet, and I can build a half of case real quick. This is the front. You have your e-stop, your power. This USB is running to the Wi-Fi box. I have that cable going straight out. There is about a 1/2 inch spacing from that side and on the rear. Was able to 3D print a probe holder, so that's on the back and it keeps it out of the way, and I don't have to remove that every single time I have to connect it, which is going to break if you keep doing that. That brings us over to our shoe. This is a 3D printed shoe. Somebody took the actual Genmitsu cover and then adjusted it for the 65mm spindle, so you can use the same parts, and then 3D print it and then move it out of the way. So initially, when you get this machine, you will see that everything's pre-built. You just got to screw it together, and this is pinned, so you get a perfect 90-degree angle on every single corner, so your machine is flat. I chose to go ahead and put the spoil boards on, but I also have chosen to reprint some of these boards in smaller form, destroy and cut these, and save this to make sure I always have a flat piece. I did not have to set any trim. It's actually perfectly fit, so I don't have any issues with it's too much on the left or the right, front to the rear. So I'll destroy all these all day, and then if I need to degrade these, I will. I will say, straight out of the gate, if you have a 300mm spindle, you're going to want to get something about 2 inches to about 1.5 inches that you can mount and screw to this board, because the spindle will not be able to touch it all the way down if you're using smaller pieces of wood. So I actually had to adjust the height on my spoil boards because this dude is actually touching all the way. The other part about this is once you put it together, it runs really flawlessly. I will say you're going to have to use a caliper and make sure when you run this all the way back with the screws for your first setup, there are triggers, okay? There's a trigger over here, and there's a trigger over here, and there's the trigger in the rears. If you go too far back, it'll stop the machine from running, and you'll hear an audible click, and you'll see a blue light. Okay, you're going to want to make sure you set those spindles equidistant from each other with the caliper. Otherwise, your machine is going to run all cattywampus. Other than that, this machine's been fantastic to use. Yes, it's been a learning curve, but I'm actually starting to cut projects, and I'm getting really, really quick at it. So, what do you need? Okay, let me explain that I wound up finding a garage sale with someone using old cabinets. Took a piece of plywood, put it on top, and this is $50 of a cabinet from a garage sale. Went ahead and I have a really nice caliper. You can get them on Amazon from like $40 to $80. Some of them are really expensive. I will tell you right now, these brackets that come with the Genmitsu, it's like a screw and a wing nut and a plate. Don't use those. They don't work. They're actually really horrible. If you know somebody or you have a 3D printer, you're going to want to print a lot of these. Okay, you can get Etsy files for these. These are hold downs. Essentially, you will utilize your holes, and they range anywhere between a 1/2 inch, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and 2 inches. So I wound up printing a whole bunch of those. I also went to Lowe's and I printed a whole bunch of these knobs and got the exact knob or the screw size that will fit in the knobs. And I bought anywhere between 2 inches, 3 inches, and 1 inch. So I have a plethora of those to modify anything. Most recently, I've printed these side mount holders. So in case I want to surface trim something, I can now hold that together on 4 sides, and then I can surface mount and hit those. The great thing about plastic is if you have an expensive bit, you're just going to kill plastic, and you're not going to destroy a metal clamp. So think about this type of stuff when you're getting into learning, because I will tell you, I've had about 4 different clamps eaten up, and thank God they've been plastic. The other thing you're going to want to do is once you get enough stuff, you're going to start getting organized. You can buy these 1/2 inch and 1/8 inch, basically CNC bit sets. I got this for $40. It has Flat end, up, down cuts. It has 90 degrees. It has spirals. It has 60 and 40 degree cuts. I went ahead and got a trimmer. This is an inch on a quarter-inch bit. And then I went ahead and bought extra collets and collars. And the great thing about having these, right, is that when you have different size bits, and there's a lot of different sizes, essentially you can just drop your one collar out, put this in, and be done. So I have collar holders that you can do. Genmitsu, when I bought this, actually sent me a bit set, as you can see. And they come with these great things. These color codes are just different type of drill bits, but these are presets. You can't load it too fast or too far into the machine. If you don't load it far enough, you have that wobble in the bit breaks. But I wound up making this case holder for me, just particular for what I need it for. The same thing with these. And then I also bought this type of a specialty bit case that has flutes, V-grooves. I have 2 flutes. I have drill bits. And I have corncob bits just for different needs. And like I said, you destroy these all day long until you buy the new ones. So I have those for organization bits. I go over here. I have some blue cellophane so I can start cutting and painting in the background. I have some cables. I have some cable covers. And then at the bottom I have some extra tools, and that's where the vacuum sits. So I would say for startup, really, is just find an area in the garage and then try to get something really particular just for what you need for the machine so you can kind of get organized with yourself. All right, so you have your machine, you know what you're using, you have the software, it's running great, you have it positioned somewhere in your house or in the garage, and now you need something to cut. This is driving me nuts. I'm seeing a lot of people asking the forum and even on videos, they're cutting cardboard. Don't do that. You can just use that with a knife. This machine is meant to cut material, whether it's aluminum, styrofoam, if you want to use something really cheap just to experiment. But there's a lot of wood hanging out everywhere. So what you want to do if you want to start selling something quick, okay, you can go to Hobby Lobby, Michael's, you can go to different places, thrift stores, Big Lots, wherever. And you can get cutting boards, different styles, different length, and you can get different thicknesses. And so what I'd wind up doing is getting a couple of those, and then having a couple ideas and just doing some practice cuts on what this bit feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like, how does it grab the wood, is it at the right speed, and just experiment on this dude. Eventually you'll have to get a setup. This is my normal kind of setup. I have clamps and I have everything kind of separated, but I have a raw material section, I have a finished material section that I pull wood back and forth in and out of the shop. So once you start cutting, if you have extra pieces, keep those around, because if you want to do a practice cut or an idea, those will come in really handy. So I would say don't worry about something crazy. Get some easy peasy glue pined boards that you can find from Lowe's. They usually run between 2 and 4 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, anywhere between 20 to 60 bucks. Use the crap out of those boards and then start looking at getting something expensive. If you have extra tools, a planer, chop saw, and all that other fun stuff, you can get slabs, cut them up, and you can have different projects. You can even plane those and trim those and cut those in different sizes from there. So you start going into different dynamics where really this dude becomes another person in the shop. Well, so once I set this and it's cutting another project, I can take a different one and I can start finishing and doing finishing sandings and different material finishes on that while this is cutting, and now I'm speeding up production. Likewise, I have a laser cutter in the shop as well, so my laptop can actually run over that section. It can start laser etching a product. I can have this cutting another project out, and I can finish another set of projects at the same time, speeding up production on different things. So it's super helpful to start having automation in that sense. So I would, again, simple. Start simple. If you want to start small, start small. But I would say this is a machine that you can grow into. Me personally, the company I have messaged them, I was being silly and stupid, messaged me back within the day. They gave me all sorts of information. Carbide Create, same thing. I sent them a project and said, hey, I'm messing this up. They sent me back the corrected project, gave me some notes and tips and said, call me back. I'll let you know if you need any more help. Both companies, fantastic with customer service. And that's what I expect out of a company that I want to keep dealing with. And, I've had some folks that have, back and forth with Shapeco, and some folks have back and forth with Fox Alien. But I would say out of the gate, this is a fantastic machine, fantastic, a first experience. I don't feel like I've wasted my money, but know this, you're gonna have to put some time into it. Again, 2080. Look for cheap material, look for simple projects, nothing complicated. Once you figure out how to build and how to mimic, program paths and tool paths, it's gonna speed up and you can start looking at complex more things later. For now, I just kind of wanted to get that video out there. The same thing when I was trying to build guitar pedals. I did the same exact thing. You can buy a simple pedal project and build it. Similar product, but I'm not sure I'm gonna do a whole in-depth 50-hour video of me building this guitar, but it will definitely help when I start building templates, and even using the 3D printer upstairs, doing some different file products, then coming down here and doing some finishing cutting on it. So super excited about this. If you have questions, if this intrigues you at all, please put them below. I will be happy to try to answer them as best as I can. But thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, guys. And this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to show you guys what I'm going to do next with this. Thanks.